G'day and welcome to Wellywood Wargaming. In this video I'll be painting up one of the new Ash Waste Nomads Sha'Dar Hunters from Games Workshop. Again, thank you for sending a box of these to me to experiment with. Today I'm going to be exclusively using just the Volume 1 and 2 of the John Blanche Masterclass series from Army Painter. A fantastic series of paints here and I cannot wait to get started using this very limited palette. The first paint I'll be using is the only speed paint and the only real pop of bright colour in Blood Moon Red. This is a fantastic, lovely, beautifully bright red that I'll be using just on the masks for my Nomads. On the fatigues and trousers here, the only green I'll be using is Tainted Garden. This is a very sickly and sort of warm yellowish green that I'll only be using on the trousers here. Then into Banshee Brown for just the boots and the gloves. This is a nice dark warm brown, similar to that of maybe Wildwood from Citadel, except this is a sort of base layer paint, so it's nice and thick and it covers very easily. Again, just the boots and the gloves on this one. The next paint is Ironclad Grey, and I'm going to be using this all over some of the robes, not all of them. I'll be doing half of the robes in this and half of the robes in a different colour that I haven't quite decided on yet. It's nice and dark, this one, a sort of bluish grey, very, very dark, and I'll be looking to sort of highlight this up slightly later as well. Next colour is Blanched Berry. I'll be using this one on the robes as well, in combination with that Ironclad Grey. This is a really beautiful sort of dark burgundy and it covers very well indeed. The next thing, I want to combine the heavy metal and the gold here, equal parts, 50-50 mix here, just for a sort of muted gold. This turned out to be a really beautiful colour and I'm going to paint all of the metals in this sort of off gold here. I really do like mixing metallics together to see what you can come up with, and this one has pushed the gold into a slightly still warm but still muted off gold colour that I do really like. The next one is Sunburst Ochre. This is a nice light warm brown that I'll be using on all of the leather straps, ties and ropes across this miniature. Then we get to the fun part, the white or off-white sort of bone colour we have on all the chitin or carapace all over this miniature. I have left it that wraith bone colour underneath, but I'm going to now douse it all in a nice thick coat of Voodoo Shade or two. Voodoo Shade is a really lovely sort of brownish green shade that is perfect for carapace or bone or similar. The next one is Grimdark Shadow. This is pretty much similar to a Nuln Oil, except it's got a slight hint of brown in there. I'm going to be dousing all of the robes, the Blanched Berry and the Grey, with that. And then we're going to highlight up using Ivory White mixed with all of the base colours that I've used so far. And the first one I'm going to mix that in with is Blanched Berry to give a little bit of an edge highlight on the sort of burgundy robe here. This was a 50-50 mix of Blanched Berry and Ivory here, and it came out pretty decent. We then did the same with the Ironclad Grey as well. The next one is Moonbeam Yellow. This is a very bright yellow and I'm using it very sparingly just for the eyes and for the pipe on the back of the weapon there. I'm then going to go through with Ivory again and highlight up all the straps, mixing it in with that ochre again in a 50-50 mix. Now this is entirely optional, but I've mixed up an oil wash here, as John Blanche does use lots of oil washes traditionally. You could use the Grimdark shadow here if you like instead, but I've decided to do this as a sort of pin wash all over the model in the deepest recesses, mixing it up with some odorless mineral spirits. I then pull out a bottle of Grim Rust. This is an effect paint, but really it acts just like a very bright orange sort of wash, and I'm using this in the recesses of all the metal. Don't go too crazy with this though, because it is very bright. I'm only adding it in sort of random splotches here and there. The next one is the darkness. I've watered this down quite a lot with a bit of water, and I'm just dabbing this into the darkest parts of the metal just to give a bit of contrast in that rust, you see. The next one I'm using is Ruddy Terror. This is quite bright and contrasting with the Blanche Berry, but I'm going to be using this fairly sparingly and just dotting it all over the edges of that burgundy fabric. I wasn't necessarily happy with how far I pushed the contrast on the burgundy, so I've come in now with a sponge and the brown that I used for the boots and gloves, and I'm just sponging some dirt and filth all over this miniature, particularly on those carapace chitin areas as well, just to sort of blend things together and bring things back down and make things a bit darker overall. Pigment dust. Now this stuff's really awesome. Again, it's not one of the Blanche paints, but we're on the base now already, so that's absolutely fine. Excuse me here. Use an old brush and just sort of plop this straight onto the base, and this will bring out all the texture. I'm then going to use another dust pigment after this over the top of the white, just to make the second one a bit brighter with that white underneath, and that is going to be light rust. You can see me just plopping it straight out of the bottle here onto the base, and then I just move it around and sort of push it around the base into all of the areas that I want it in. You can see it's got quite a nice capillary action, which is why that texture really comes out underneath very nicely. Now it does take a little while to dry, but once it's dry we're going in with a dark yellow pigment powder just to add the effect of sand. You can see that there's lots of different colors and contrasts on this base here, and it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the results here. Make sure you get a little bit of the yellow onto the robes and the boots as well. We're then going to go back in with some The Darkness from the Blanche set and paint the rim. Pretty happy with the results overall. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like this paint job, you can certainly do it yourself. It was pretty easy, and I'm again only using the paints from the Blanche box set, minus the oils and pigments of course, but pretty happy with the result there. Please do like, share, subscribe, and check out the Patreon as well, and I'll be back with another video real soon. Peace out.